Saint Peter Damian, monk, bishop, and doctor of the Church, Saint Peter Damian stands as a shining light of holiness, courage, and reform in the life of the Church. He was born in the year 1007 in Ravenna, Italy, into poverty and hardship. Orphaned at a young age, he experienced suffering and neglect, yet through God's grace and the kindness of his older brother, he received an education that would shape his future. From his early years, God was preparing him for a mission of renewal and spiritual leadership. His call and religious life, Peter Damian felt a deep call to silence, prayer, and holiness. He entered the Benedictine tradition and became part of the Reform movement connected with the hermits of the Camaldolese order, inspired by the spirituality of the order of Saint Benedict. He embraced a life of strict discipline, fasting, prayer, and solitude, yet his holiness could not remain hidden. God called him from the quiet of the monastery into the wider service of the Church. Promoter of religious reform and accomplishments, Saint Peter Damian became one of the greatest promoters of religious reform during a time when corruption and moral weakness had entered parts of the Church. With courage and humility, he called clergy and religious back to lives of purity, simplicity, and fidelity to Christ. His accomplishments include writing powerful spiritual works that encouraged repentance, discipline, and deeper prayer, defending the integrity and holiness of priestly and religious life, serving the Church as a peacemaker, diplomat, and spiritual advisor, being appointed Cardinal Bishop of Ostia by Pope Stephen IX. Though he preferred the silence of monastic life, he always saw himself first as a monk, a servant of God, and a humble instrument of renewal. Death, canonization, and honor. Saint Peter Damian died peacefully on February 22, 1072, after a life completely given to God and his Church. His holiness and influence continued long after his death. In 1828, he was canonized and declared a doctor of the Church by Pope Leo XII, recognizing his profound wisdom, teaching, and contribution to spiritual renewal. Lessons from his life. Saint Peter Damian teaches us that God often calls the humble and wounded to accomplish great things. True reform begins with personal holiness and conversion. Prayer and silence give strength to face the challenges of the world. Courage is needed to stand for truth, even when it is difficult. Holiness is not about position or honor, but about faithfulness and love. He reminds us that even in times of darkness, God raises saints to renew his Church. Question for meditation. Am I willing to allow God to transform my life so that I may become an instrument of renewal, holiness, and courage in my own time?